Your phone just buzzed. You didn't decide to look. Your hand already moved. Before your mind caught up, your thumb was on the screen. What just happened inside you? The honest answer is stranger than you think. You weren't checking for information. You were checking for a feeling. And that feeling has almost nothing to do with the message waiting for you. Picture a pigeon in a small box. In the 1950s, psychologist B.F. Skinner placed pigeons inside chambers with a single lever. Some pigeons got a food pellet every time they pressed it. Predictable, simple. Those pigeons pressed the lever occasionally, whenever they were hungry. But a second group of pigeons got something else. Their lever paid out randomly. Sometimes nothing. Sometimes a pellet. No pattern they could learn. Those pigeons pressed the lever obsessively, thousands of times, long after they were full. Skinner called this a variable ratio schedule, and it turned out to be the single most addictive pattern of reward ever tested on an animal brain. Your phone runs on that exact pattern. Every time you unlock it, you don't know what's waiting. Maybe a message, maybe nothing, maybe a like, a comment, a headline that changes your whole mood. The uncertainty is not a design flaw. It is the entire design. Here's where it gets deeper. In the 1990s, neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz was recording dopamine neurons in monkeys while they learned to expect a reward after a specific cue. At first, dopamine fired when the reward arrived. But as the monkeys learned the pattern, something shifted. The dopamine stopped firing at the reward. It started firing earlier, at the cue itself. The anticipation, not the reward, became the trigger. Now remove the pattern completely. Make the reward unpredictable again. What happens to the dopamine? It spikes even higher, and it stays elevated through the entire waiting period. Uncertainty doesn't dampen desire. It amplifies it. This is why you don't feel a calm curiosity when you reach for your phone. You feel a low, urgent pull, almost itchy. That is dopamine responding to uncertainty, not to content. Your brain isn't asking, "What did I get?" It's asking, "What might I get?" And that question is more powerful than any actual answer. There's a second piece to this puzzle, and it comes from psychologist Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan. Berridge spent decades studying the difference between wanting something and liking something. He found they are run by separate systems in the brain. You can want something intensely without liking it much at all once you have it. Sound familiar? Think about the last time you checked your phone out of habit. Did the scroll actually satisfy you? Or did you feel a small emptiness and reach again 30 seconds later? That gap between wanting and liking is exactly what Berridge mapped in lab animals decades before smartphones existed. He wasn't studying phones. He was studying addiction. The mechanism transfers perfectly. So why does this matter for you, specifically, today? Because none of this requires willpower to explain. You are not weak for checking your phone 40 times before lunch. You are running a very old reward system through a machine engineered to exploit it perfectly. Your ancestors' brains built this system for a good reason. Uncertainty used to mean opportunity. A rustle in the grass might be food, might be danger. Either way, checking kept you alive. The brain that survived was the brain that stayed curious about the unknown, that couldn't quite look away from ambiguity. That same wiring, thousands of years old, now fires every time your screen lights up with a notification you can't predict. Notice what happens the moment you open an app and there's nothing new. No new message, no new like. There's a flicker of disappointment. Then, almost instantly, the urge to check something else. A different app. A refresh. That flicker is not boredom. It's a dopamine system searching for its next uncertain cue. The same way Skinner's pigeons kept pressing a lever that had already stopped paying out reliably. Here's the part almost nobody tells you. The apps you use most were built by people who understood Skinner, understood Schultz, and understood Berridge, whether they read the studies or simply tested what worked. every red notification badge, every infinite scroll with no natural stopping point, every pull to refresh gesture deliberately modeled after a slot machine handle. These are not accidents. They are variable reward schedules built directly from decades of behavioral research running on a nervous system that was never designed to resist them. You can't out-willpower a system built to exploit uncertainty because the pull isn't happening in the part of your brain that makes decisions. It's happening earlier, faster, before conscious thought even arrives. That's why simply telling yourself to check your phone less rarely works for long. You're negotiating with the wrong part of your mind. What actually works is changing the uncertainty itself. Turn off notifications and the unpredictable cue disappears. Check messages at set times and the variable schedule becomes a fixed one, the kind Skinner's pigeons found far less compelling. Put the phone in another room and you remove the possibility of an unpredictable ping registering at all. None of this requires more discipline. It requires fewer opportunities for your dopamine system to be triggered by uncertainty in the first place. So the next time your hand reaches for your phone before your mind even asks why, pause for 1 second. That pull is not a personal failing. It is one of the oldest reward circuits in the human brain, shaped over millions of years to chase the unknown, now aimed at a small glowing rectangle in your pocket. Your phone just buzzed again. This time you know exactly why your hand is already moving.